are going to talk about chapter 23. The title is Birds of a Feather Flock Together. Lao Tzu talked about Tao in a very different perspective. He talks about weather and why we should be together as a Tao cultivator or as a light workers. So chapter 23, chapter title is According to Nature. Chapter 23 is not too difficult. I break down the chapter into 4 sections. The first line is the most important one. That's the thesis, the main message that Lao Tzu wants to get to us. Not talking much is the natural way. And then the intro part is the middle part. Intro part talks about the weather and body. Body seems kind of long, but we can break the body into 2 sections. And the last one is the summary. So the body, as you can see, the red box here, the body has 2 sections. We will discuss the first box and then the later box. In the body, Lao Tzu talks about how should we deal with people in the current society. So let's begin with the first line. Not talking much is the natural way. Keep in mind, Lao Tzu is not talking about to keep our mouth shut. It's not about being completely silent. It's about you can talk, but talk only according to the way of Tao. Imagine if we would spend the whole day talking and you eliminate the talk that's not necessary. What about you talking to A person about the personal story about B person, and then you talk to C person about a B, and then you talk to D person about person A. So if you can cut down all this gossip, cut down all this blaming, accusing, complaining, what is left? There's not much left. And whatever is left, it's what we manifest from our true self. Perhaps it's a word of encouragement. How much word of encouragement have we give to the people around us each day? And if we can separate our talk from the natural way and the unnatural way, Lao Tzu is saying that the natural way, which is according to the true self, it's really not that much. In our daily life, we spend more time talking about gossiping, criticism, the ABC, accusing, blaming, and complaining. And also we spend a lot of time talking, like expressing our anger. So I want to share with you a story, a boy who always loses his temper and say angry words to his family. So his father wants to teach him a lesson. His father give him a bag of nails and then tell him that, every time when you lose your temper, I want you to put a nail into the fence. So the first day, the son would do that. And the first day, of course, there was a lot of nails. And there was one day that has 37 nails. So eventually, the son finally able to control his temper. And when it gets towards the end, he does not need to put any nail into the fence. And he proudly tell his father, hey, Dad, I don't need to put any nail into the fence. So Dad is very proud. So then the dad say, well, then now I want you to remove the nail every time when you can control your temper. So the son also follow his father. Every time when he is able to control the temper, he will remove the nail. So one by one, one by one. And a few days later, he figured out that, wow, there's no more nail. And he went to his home. Hey, Dad, I finished all the nail. I removed all the nail in the fence. Dad was very proud. So the dad took the son to the fence area. Look at all this nail that you removed. But I want you to pay attention to the holes that you created in the fence. The anger word you already expressed. It already leave a mark in the fence. So every time when we say something to a person around you, it doesn't matter how many times you say sorry, but the scar, it's always there. So every time when we say something, be careful not to say the hurtful word, such as accusing somebody, criticizing somebody. Just like what I put here, the tongue is like a sharp knife. It will bring bitterness and pain to others. In Buddhism, we talk about there's a 10 bad action. And this box here is the mind, speech, and body. This is the session that we talked about last time. Our karmic seed comes from mind, speech, and body. And look at this speech. It has 4 items. That means a lot of things comes out from our mouth. But keep in mind, whatever comes out from our mouth, it also comes from our mind too. And once it comes out from our mouth and our mind, it will manifest into our behavior. So could it be that Lao Tzu wants us to watch our speech as well as our mind and our body? Because if we can watch all these 3 big category and this 10 bad action, then we will avoid planting the bad merit or the bad karma. Next line. Therefore, a gusty wind does not last the whole morning. A strong rainstorm does not last the whole day. We all experience this. So in this verse, whether it's lasting the whole morning or lasting the whole day, it really means the same. It's the same. Lao Tzu is explaining the phenomenon does not last continuously, not even an hour. I remember before we have rainstorm in California, it will downpour for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then it will cool down a little bit. It doesn't rain so much, and then it will start to pour again, and then the rainfall will die down again, and then it just like go up and down continuously, but it does not last the whole hours or the whole morning or the whole days. So the next line says, who is behind all this? Who is behind all this? Meaning these 2 phenomena. So the answer is heaven and earth. Lao Tzu gives the answer to this question. Yet, even heaven and earth cannot make them last. How can human? If heaven and earth cannot make the rainstorm or the thunder last continuously, how can human? We all see how humans get angry, right? And I see the thunder and the storm is the way that heaven and earth get angry. But at some point, that phenomenon have to stop or go back to normal way. We have typical human behavior, which is all this here: slandering, gossip, envy, jealousy. So we are all trapped by our false self. And this is our programming. We are all born this way. We are trapped by this program. So in order to live according to the nature, sometimes we have to reprogram ourselves. We have to reprogram ourselves by break through the false self and get to know our true self by attending the temple, get to know our master, our senior Tao cultivator, reading the scripture, and so on. So I just briefly explained the thesis and the intro. So I want to give a summary of these 2 sections. Number 1, what does this message tell us? I feel that the gusty wind and the rainstorm may be an analogy of not only the human speech, but also we need to control our mind and body, because this is all related, right? And number 2, humankind is very insignificant. We all have short life, right? What is the maximum year that we can live nowadays? It's probably 80 years old. If somebody can live 100, 120 or 110 or even 100, that's a true blessing. So humankind is very insignificant. And if we don't follow Tao, what will be the consequence? If we want to follow our false self, if we want to follow our ego, if we want to follow our attachment, what will be the consequence? The consequence will be a disaster, and that's the path that we don't want to take. And number 3, each word that we express must be according to Tao, because this is our true self. We don't need to be taught. We already have it. We have the characteristic of love, kindness, compassion, and be able to accept each other. And these characteristics are just being covered, being dormanted. So we have to awake ourselves. Unfortunately, all this are not being taught in our school. Even if it's being taught in elementary school or high school or junior high, I think the kids are not able to understand based on their experience. Therefore, parents play a very important role to set a good role model for the kids. So the first item here is just the positive element, our characteristic, which comes from our true self, which is embedded in our programming. But our programming is being covered by the false self, which is boastful, all these negative things. But in our society, we look at this as something very normal because everybody is doing that. And we are encouraged to be boastful, encouraged to brag about it. Look at the commercial that we always see in the social media, on the TV, buying a lottery. I think their slogan is, you want to have a happy life? Go buy a lottery. This is the message that they want to get across. If you want to have a happy life, this is where they sell the car. When they sell a car, a handsome man or a beautiful woman is driving. The girl has to be beautiful and the boy has to be handsome. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the infomercial. All this, we are all surrounded by this thing which program ourselves. And that's why Tao Te Ching is very important nowadays to help us to regain our true self. So this is the three message that Lao Tzu want to get across. And we move on to the body part. And this is the first section of the body. Thus, one who practice the Tao. This is referring us because we are all here together study Tao. We study Tao Te Ching. Whether we practice Tao or follow Tao or study Tao Te Ching, it's all the same. This applies to every one of us here. When he meets those who are pursuing Tao, accompany them in Tao. So for us who practice Tao, and when we meet other people are also pursuing Tao, we should accompany them. And I think that's pretty easy to understand. So accompany name, I want to give you the etymology on this one. Accompanying them meaning to be together, especially there's a mouth here. If you look in the etymology, so when we work together, we speak the same thing. And when we speak the same thing, that means we are thinking about the same thing and we behave the same thing in a joint effort. So there's harmony, right? There's harmony. So in the next three lines, Lao Tzu talks about in dealing with others, what attitude should we have? So when we deal with others, there will be three kinds of people that we will see. First category is the people who practice Tao and or pursuing Tao. The second one is they probably are not pursuing Tao, but they do a lot of good work. And that falls to the second line, who are practicing virtue. And the third one is who lost the Tao and the virtue. So let's begin talk about the first one. So when we mean the first kind of people in different branches, in Tao Temple, we have different branches. And in the church environment, we call it a different denomination, different temple, different church goer. So when we see people who believe in the Heavenly Lord, Heavenly Mother, God, Jehovah, we should bless each other. We do not condemn each other. We will not say, oh, you go to church, I go to temple. We are on our different way. I don't believe in what you are believing. So we never want to do that. We want to bless each other and congratulate each other because we are all on the same path to our Heavenly Lord. So we should discard our age, the seniority. Just like in our Tao Temple, we will always find people who are more senior than us. And we will always find people who are just newcomer. And how should we treat them? We should just treat them with not much difference, treat them with respect, because those people who are senior, maybe one day we can catch up with them. Our life is very short. Although they are senior, although this person received Tao 2 years before me or 5 years before me, but if we can look at the spectrum in spirituality, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, it's really minimal. although it's minimum, we still want to respect the senior. And at the same time, we want to respect the junior because the junior might also catch up with us. Disregard the denomination. In the I-Kuan Tao temple, there's 18 branches. Within the 18 branches, there's sub-branches. If we know that somebody is pursuing Tao, I-Kuan Tao temple in different denomination than us, we also want to respect them too. And of course, we want to disregard the size because size doesn't matter. So basically, in the first line is talking about anybody who is pursuing Tao, pursuing their true nature, anybody who has good foundation, good affinity, we want to flow with them. Next one, when he meets those who are practicing virtue, accompany them in virtue. So virtue, it means manifestation of Tao. As you can see, the character here, on the left, it means two person walking. On the top, there's a cross. It means road. And down below, you see eyes, only one eye, singular eye. And then it's one right here, and then heart. So by putting them together, it means there's two person walking together. In other words, you cannot manifest virtue by yourself. You cannot sit in your home and then do your own virtue. You cannot. You need a giver and a receiver. If you want to express love, you need to have a recipient. This is the role that will be taken. And of course, you need an eye of wisdom. And these two persons have to work together as one. So this is called virtue. Here is a great example that I want to talk about, like setting up a prayer hall. So this is a good way to express two people are walking. So to work together, we need to do things together. And what are the things? Maybe we join the class together. I'm talking, you are sitting here. And then we do a ritual together. We do a fruit offering together. Somebody line the holy name and the other person follow along. Setting up the prayer hall. This is what Junior Master Lee is good at doing. And then sometimes we have a gathering. And what's good about gathering if there's nobody gathering except me? So gathering needs at least two. So we want to help and encourage each other, exchange idea and information so that we can have a better gathering in the next session. How to improve our gathering in the future session. So this is a picture of a vegetarian cooking session that we host before the COVID. So like event like this type, we need De, which is the manifestation of Tao. Therefore, when he meets those who are practicing virtue, so when we meet those people who are practicing virtue, like I meet Joron, I meet Dan and Junior Master Lee, so let's work together so that we can walk together, doing the same thing together. Our eyes are looking at the same thing. Our mind is thinking about the same thing to propagate Tao. We work together in the same mind and we behave the same way towards the same direction with our physical heart and spiritual heart. Here's another picture, Chinese language class. So right here, you might see only a teacher is talking, but then behind the teacher, there is a coordinator behind this. And somebody have to pay a bill, which is who is Senior Master Lee. She need to pay a bill. So if she doesn't pay a bill, how can this session be on? And then somebody have to make sure the area is clean. So there's people who clean, make sure the facility is clean. And every time when we have Sunday gathering, keep in mind there's a team of holy chef and chef assistant. There's at least how many people? 4 or 5 in the holy kitchen. They are preparing the food for us after our session. So don't forget that the holy chef also put a lot of time and effort too. Now the last line of the first box is when he meet those who have lost, Tao and the De accompany them with a loss. So out of this 3 line, this takes a little understanding. So if you have find somebody who is lost, there's few ways to explain this. First, they are lost on the path of Tao. They are arrogant, resentful, looking down on others. So that's their perspective. So what do you do when you meet this kind of people? You can still be with them and accompany them, but not be one of them. You can help them to rectify them, correct them. And definitely there are people who dislike other people. They think that they are the best. I don't want to be with you. Like I want to mention about the Muslim. So those people, they look down on everybody except their own religion. So definitely they fall into this category, detest the world and highly critical of the society. And definitely we hear people say, if you don't believe in Jesus, what's going to happen to you? On the second line, we never want to say, if you don't receive Tao, something is going to happen to you. You're going to have bad karma. It's bad for your ancestor. We never want to say that. And then this line, if you don't be a vegetarian, then you will have serious consequence of bad karma. So this is something that we don't want to say either. So when we say it, we become arrogant. And for those who are vegetarian, when we sit with the people who eat meat, we never want to say the meat that you eat stinks. So I personally experienced this kind of situation. My daughter is 18 years old. 18 years ago, when I have my daughter, we have a nanny from Taiwan, and she is a Tao follower, and she's a vegetarian. She practices Tao, and she does the ritual morning, afternoon, and evening time. So a very sincere Tao cultivator. So I need a nanny to help me because I will be delivering my daughter. So she came to my home. We hired her for 1 month. And so she need to live in with me in my house. We give her a room. So she need to prepare breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me and as well as my family. So keep in mind, my husband is not vegetarian. She cannot cook meat for my husband. So my husband will bring food from outside to eat. And then this lady, not only she say things, she also go like this. And then she just walk around the house. Oh, that stinks, that stinks. So, so that was a big trial for my husband. So from that point on, he does not have dinner at home because she always do this kind of thing in front of him. He was offended. Back then, I did not know what happened, and I did not know what to do, and I did not know what this is about. But now I understand this since I've been in a Tao environment for so long. 18 years ago, I was still young, but spiritually. But now I understand that's the most terrible things to do to a non-Tao cultivator, to a meat eater. This is like kicking people out. So definitely we don't want to be arrogant. By the time that you do this kind of gesture in front of people, you are also putting down yourself too. So 18 years ago, there was a time that I couldn't come to the temple because of that lady. Yeah, so after that, she went back to Taiwan, but it just leave a very dark clouds in my home. You see that my husband does not come to the temple, and every once in a while, he will also bring that to me too. So we cannot control what other people say. So that was the way that people express they are superior than the meat eater. Sometimes vegetarian do that, sometimes vegan do that, and we never want to do that as a Tao cultivator. So there are other ways where people are lost. Sometimes people are lost because they lost purpose of life. Maybe their loved one passed away. Maybe they get sick. Maybe this person couldn't find jobs. Maybe other things. So what do? We can tell them our experience and share with them. But we don't want to create a distance between us and them. So here is a picture that I find. Not only we want to show sympathy, we want to be with them, we want to acknowledge their feeling, but also to feel them. You see this image here, the icon, this person is trying to walk on the experience with the other person. So having empathy, it's about caring for the other person and knowing the struggle and try to experience the suffering that the other person is going through. So this is talking about the last line here, empathy. Remember I say that the body part has two parts. We just complete the first part. Now we are going to the second part. The second part on the two line here, they are very similar, which we talk about if somebody is practicing Tao, we work with them, we accompany with them. And if somebody is doing the Tao mission or holy mission, we are also happy to work with them too. How can we do it? We can uplift their energy and provide more acceptance and inspire each other so that we can deepen their root. Some people, they are just new and they are just watching, being an observer, but we can talk to them, develop a friendship so that they can have a stronger belief, deepen their root. And in a way, it's building a friendship so that to help them to strengthen their determination in Tao. For me, I've been through a lot in this temple. There are times I suffer through some low point, and few times I want to leave this temple because there's just so many chaos. But then eventually I decide that I should stay here. So this is the determination that we need, and this is the root that the newcomer need. Imagine a newcomer come, their root is very short and it can just be easily plucked out. So our job, our attitude to this newcomer is to help them to grow their root. Now our roots are already deep, so it's something that we really need to do.
We're human.
Yeah, we are human, so we will see a lot of people fall into this category, and sometimes we are in that category too. So we just have to pull ourselves out. We have to find people who can help us, maybe a mentor. A lot of time we are with those people that we don't like. What do we do? So here I have a box here, a way to view people. When we encounter people that we don't like, think about those people are our spiritual creditor. Perhaps you owe them, so this life you want to pay them back. That's one way to think about it. Second, think about that other are future Buddha, and we are future Buddha. We are just in this Buddha camp, and we are working together. We get this feeling like, have you go to the gym and then you see people are working out? So you are working out in that machine, I'm working out in this machine. So we are all working together to build our body. So instead of working out, not in terms of our physical muscle, we are working out on our spiritual muscle. One day, the person that I don't like, probably he will become a future Buddha. So if we abandon or alien from him, later on we might need his help. So think of other people as future Buddha, and which is true because we are all on this together. Future Buddha, future angels, future Lao Tzu, or future Confucius. So never look down on people who you don't like. Still keep a good relationship. And last week we talked about fertile ground. How do we plant the seed? Where to plant seed? Spiritual karmic seed. There's only one place on human. We cannot plant karmic seed on earth, on the ground. We can only plant karmic seed on people. Therefore, we need to make sure we plant good seed on the people that we like as well as the people that we don't like. The people that we don't like is the seed. It's because we had bad seed planted. That's why they treat us bad. So if we change our seed to good seed, then they will treat us better, right? So that's how we deal with people. Sometimes they treat us bad because we have a bad relationship, bad karma in the previous life. In order to change it around, then we start to plant good seed. Okay, so the next one is those whom he accepts in their loss are also happy to accept their loss. So when we look at this line, it can be difficult to understand. But before we go on, I want to share with you basically in the Chinese character. In the back, you can see these three characters. 乐得知, they are all the same. So in English, it should be attaining the Tao, attaining the virtue, attaining the loss. For translation purpose, nobody will want to attaining the loss happily. Sometimes it sounds odd, so I changed the translation to accept their loss. So accept their loss, there are three ways we can look at it. One is attaining their loss. This is the literal way, following the rhythm from the first two lines. Second is accept their loss by internalizing the loss as a life experience. Third is attaining the Tao. So there are three ways that we can translate this. So can we think of a reason that people can accept their loss? Or in other words, what are the situations people don't accept their loss? For example, if you have a family pass away, and if you are in denial, then that's not called accepting the loss, because you cannot believe this happened. Why do I get cancer? I cannot believe this. I lost my health. I lost my family. I cannot believe it. I don't want to accept the loss. Not accepting is a way of denial. But if I can accept my loss, then I can get out of it. So accepting the loss, it's not easy. It takes time to transition. We go in the flow of life. Sometimes we just have to flow with life, understand in our life there's a different stage, and our family sometimes come in and out of our life. So being able to accept the loss is not easy. Before we go to the next slide, I want to explain there's a difference between line 4 and line 7 here. So this line here, accompany them with loss, is for us to accompany with the person who lost their loved one. But this line here is talking about how to allow that person to get over the loss and move on to their life. So it's like the one on the top is the first stage. The second one in the bottom, the one in the bottom is the second one. So there's a different stage. And being able to internalize the loss as part of the experience, it's not easy. Again, this is the concept of empathy. We want to understand each other, listen actively, withhold judgment, be understanding. And sometimes when we are with the person who experienced loss, we cannot help to make the situation better. Then I think on the website, this is what we would do. I don't know what to say. I'm just glad that you told me. I have situation like that. So sometimes we just cannot do it, but being there as a friend, listening to what other people say already make the situation much better, although it's not elevating the pain from the other person. So like I say, the last line is the most difficult one to do. By looking at this chart here, if we don't accept the loss, we will be in the down curve. And being able to accept the loss, it's a way to elevate ourselves because life still move on. The first one is called denial. Second one is realization. Third one is resistance, anger. Fourth one is letting go. Fifth one is searching for truth or other option. Number 6, understand the meaning of change. And number 7, change internalized. It's important to make the connection with the people who experience the loss. And sometimes if we've been through that, we can say that, oh, I've been through that and I understand how you feel. Like I shared with you earlier, I have the personal experience with the vegetarian person being so superior. So I will never do that. And I can share that experience with people who suffer those kind of a family situation. And if you have a cancer, I don't think I can do that experience because I never have that experience, breast cancer, or somebody who lose their mom and dad. My mom and dad are still alive, so I definitely cannot share that with you. So everybody have different experience. That's why we need different people so that we can help each other out. And definitely there are people here we can share the experience on losing a loved one. And usually when the loss happens, we will have disbelief, and then denial, and then sadness comes. And imagine people feel sad and they are in denial, and eventually they get into depression. They ended up have to take medicine, and unfortunately sometimes they committed suicide. So this part is really difficult. So if we can be there to be with them, just to accompany them so that they don't feel lonely, and accept them and help them to accept the loss, to help them to get out of hole, it's a very important emotional support. Hold on. After we share our experience with them, we can tell them that how we find a Tao, how we find a temple, the spiritual situation that we are now after we encounter some mentor in the temple. After we meet the Tao master in the temple, we feel much better, and hopefully to guide them and uplift them, uplift their energy. I want to share with you a story. It's called Puppy for Sale. So there was a farmer who has 4 puppies, and he wants to sell them. So he put a sign up in the front, and the boy came by, and the farmer say, "Come on out, everybody." So all the puppy came out, and the boy was so exciting to look for the puppy. And so 3 puppy came out, but then there was one left behind and crawling. And the boys say, "Oh, I want that one, the one in the very back." And the farmers say, "No, you don't want that one. That one is probably will walk very slow and cannot play with you." But the boys say, "No, I want that one, the one in the very back, the furry one. You see, that one is moving." So the farmers say, "No, you don't want that one. You don't understand. He has some kind of disability. Probably it's going to be with him for the rest of his life." So the boy bent down and rolled up his shorts. He has a steel leg with special fitted shoes. So the boy said, "I need to get that one because it takes a special person to take care of the puppy, because I know how the puppy feel." And when I see this story, I say, wow, this is an amazing story. And in order to bring the person up who experienced loss, it takes a person who is willing to share the experience, to accompany the person, to accompany our friend to lift up the energy. And I find the story very amazing and uplifting. This is the last line. When one does not have sufficient faith, others will not have faith in you. So without faith, others will have doubt in you. So it's in this road of a spiritual path, we need to have strong faith. It doesn't make sense to move our ground from one temple to the other temple when bad things come in the temple. So we just have to stick to the ground. And once you can get through the hurdle, I'm sure our root will be deepened. So it's important to grow our spiritual root in a family as well as in the temple or church. So we just complete our chapter 23 verses. And again, this is the first slide that I showed to you. The first one is thesis. This is the main line for this chapter, not talking much. Keep in mind, if we can limit our talk to the one that's according to our true self, there's no word of anger, no word of hatred, no ABC, no accusing, blaming, and complaining. Not talking much is the natural way. And this one, the introduction, Lao Tzu wants to talk about we're supposed to follow according to the nature, but he used the natural phenomenon as a great example. If you don't follow your nature, what's going to happen? It's going to be disaster. The intro is about human energy is limited. Our energy physically, because how long can we live on earth? There's only limited years. Our physical strength does not allow us to do certain things. for so long. It's important to conserve our energy and stick our time and effort more towards to our true self. And again, body here has two parts. So this is the body, the first 3 lines and the later 3 lines. And the body part talks about, remind us how to deal with people. There will be 3 kinds of people that we encounter, and probably we will be one of it. So try not to be the one who is the loser, but we want to use that lost experience to be part of us and move on our life. And eventually when we see somebody who been to our path, we can guide them and mentor them. And the last one is a summary. Without faith, how can we do all the above? Without faith, how can we accompany others? How can we perform Tao mission? How can we walk with people who are lost for our family and friends? So I have just concluded my chapter 23. Thank you so much. If mistake were made or said during today's sharing, I ask the forgiveness from the Heavenly Mother, Buddha Maitreya, Jigong Buddha, Patriarch, Sijun Simu, Grandmaster, Senior Masterly, and Junior Masterly. Thank you so much for your time and participation. Thank you.